Good evening. Welcome to Soulmechanics. I'm your host, Jim Hecker. I want to begin by saying I'm very grateful to Access Tucson Television. We are now in our 13th season and we well over 230 shows. It's been a fascinating journey and I thank everyone who's joined the show. The purpose of the show is this. I'm a professional psychic counselor. I have great knowledge about the ancient tarot. If you have a question about your life, hey, you feeling up? You feeling a little down? You got concerns about your career? You want to know what's going on within your health? Any of the above categories is open market for me. So give me a call. The call-in number will be available. It is 520-629-0683. 520-629-0683. Of course, as you know, for all these years here in Tucson, also in New Orleans, Chicago, halfway across the United States, I've enjoyed doing readings for many, many people. It gives me a lot of spiritual happiness. And if I can help you find a solution to a problem, that's what we're all about. So give me a call, 629-0683. Meantime, we're going to talk about the tarot a little bit and what it all means. And there's a lot of issues going on in the world right now. My goodness, I mean, it never ends, does it? We got Iran. They're trying to broker a nuclear deal where they're going to quit processing nuclear energy for what the United States and a lot of very fearful countries feel is, nuclear enrichment for bombs. We got Korea. This guy Rodman, who was a big popular basketball star back in the 80s, he thinks it's a good idea to get drunk on television and fight with all the news media. I thought that was pretty funny myself. The guy had a good idea. Rodman had a good idea. Let's open up some type of relations with a country we don't even understand that's going back thousands of years, millenniums. Everybody's afraid of this guy. He's been accused of being the biggest, cruelest person since Adolf Hitler was invented on the earth, and just had part of his family assassinated because what he feared was a coup d'etat or take over the country. But yeah, we got Rodman, this very affable, likable black dude who plays a hellacious basketball game, going over to Korea and going, "Happy birthday to you." He wasn't even in key, but that's beside the point. Folks, if you want a reading, 520-629-0683. Other things in the news, the national platform. The Universal Affordable Health Care Plan, which has been termed Obamacare, is under a lot of scrutiny. I've got to be honest about this, and I got to be fair about this. I talked to one of the staff members of Access Tucson tonight. I looked at his point of view. He looked at my point of view. He had a normal discussion. What the guy's trying to do is revamp the whole medical industry concerning healthcare, which is going to affect the insurance companies all the way down the line. Oh my God. I mean, it's like a major turnover. It's going from one major thing to another, and there's been 100 years in between. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, I've got to criticize the fact that he did have 3 years to put a website together, to put a workable Microsoft program together, something that was easy for the people to read, all groups, from the rich down to the very poor, and see what is what. And I have to admit, though, I think the media has been very biased towards, the slow takeoff of this healthcare recovery. But this one staff member I talked to tonight said, Jim, you never know. This may have been one of the greatest and best decisions in a long, long time, and it wouldn't be realized for 10, 20, 30 years. Well, you got to take that in consideration. We all thought that President Carter wasn't a good president because of some of the failed ventures that he had and what they considered a pacifist attitude. I don't mean to get so political, but it seems like politics is ruling our lives lately. Everything that's going on. We are in a fix, almost to the point of 1930s depression, when we had the dust storms, the dust bowls. People were leaving the cities in droves, packing up everything they had, carting it off in horses. It was miserable, but we survived that. Unfortunately, part of the cure was World War II and putting American industry on foot. Anyway, I would like to look at currently what's going on. Other issues. Number one, we got Governor Christie. Oh, God, New Jersey. Jersey boy, right? Hoboken. Supposed to be one of the wildest towns you could ever visit. Actually, I've been to Hoboken. It wasn't that bad. Anyway, somebody got vindictive. They closed down the Brooklyn Bridge as a vindictive political statement, held up thousands of people, and it seemed to me like it was a political ploy to make Governor Christie look bad, because as far as things are concerned right now, he's about the best front runner for the Republican Party for President of the United States. And now that President Obama, Barack, if I may call him Barack, is in his second term and what is considered a lame duck presidency, someone's got to take the realm. So who do we got? We got Hillary Clinton coming. Oh, that's a good idea. I'd like to do a reading on Hillary. Her husband was President of the United States. Obviously, she had the ear to everything that was going on. So let's take a look at that, okay? There's Hillary. Hillary is powerful. We're going to put the gold in her hand. She's very prosperous. Well, that was known from all her financial investments, being an attorney, ta-da. But does she have a chance of being the first female president in the history of the United States? I have no problem whatsoever of electing a woman president. My God, Golda Meir of Israel, look what she did. Margaret Thatcher of England, look what she did. These are great ladies in history. Has nothing to do with the male or female gender. It has to do with how wise you are, how smart you are, and how congenial you can be when it gets a little rough around the edges. Okay, folks, phone lines are open. 629-0683 is the call-in number. 629-0863. Meantime, I'm going to do a little reading on what's going to happen with Hillary. Well, she's got the support of the female vote. This is what the symbol of the lady means next to her. Her husband is supportive and giving her guidance. Although they've had rough periods in their life, the Clintons did stick together. They did keep the family unit. I guess she forgave him because you don't hear too much about it. But also you got to look at the body language in the media. A lot of times she wasn't happy with the guy. But right now we're going for the female vote. And that's what Hillary's banking on. What's interesting, I'm going to put a little spotlight on this one. This is called The Magician. And when the female figurine is located or looking at the magician, this denotes to me this lady is going to go through some health issues. It has been documented in the current news or in the media, but this may affect her future as a presidential candidate, and she is going to get strong opposition from the Republican Party. Let's keep one thing in mind, though. there wasn't always a two-party system. Back when, the original Roosevelt was in office, he wanted to branch off from the Republicans, Democrats, and become what was called the Whig Party. Now we have what is called the Independent Party. They seem to be gaining popularity. People are looking at the other side or the other point of view. They're tired of all the politics. Like your opinion about it. Again, the call-in number 629-0683. That's 629-0683. We're going to go back to the reading. I believe Hillary Clinton is an educated woman, denoted by the yellow. She is very much into the wealthy side of life, but that's been part of the privilege that she has gone through. But I honestly have to believe she did earn this. She did go to school. I guess she was an original women's liber, and everything seemed to work out fine. But that's okay. But does she have a chance as a political candidate in 2016? And I would like your opinion about that. So again, the call-in number is 629-0683, 629-0863, and we can field your questions. I know I haven't been on the air for a couple months, but we had the Christmas holidays, and we have been cut back on certain hours of Access Tucson Television. But, we're grateful we have this venue to talk to you and get acquainted and see how things are going. All right, back to the reading. What's interesting to me, and this is a prediction that I'm going to make, that it shows there's going to be problems in her home environment, and this is going to concern her daughter Chelsea, which is indicated here. As far as I know, Chelsea did get married. She has not been in the limelight a lot. I'm sure her political parents did shelter her a little bit from that. That's really okay. But sometimes when you're in that much of a spotlight, things can get out of control. We don't know how each individual is going to deal with certain aspects of their life, and could be a little bit of trouble with her. But I don't predict this happening until the springtime months, denoted by the three swords in the reading, which means there is concern, there's trouble brewing, and sometimes we cannot get out of what is called the inevitable. Okay, folks, phone lines are open. 629-0683. That's 629-0863. I'm Jim Hecker. You're watching Soulmechanics on Access Tucson Television. My goodness, we started this show about 13 years ago. I've met some great people here. I'm sure you all remember Sue Sandberg, who had Valley Views. She was one of my dearest friends in the whole world. In fact, I used to visit her all the time at her house. She always hung out in her bed. She had a lot of health challenges, and she was in a lot of pain. She had rheumatoid arthritis since she was a kid, a very crippling and devastating illness. And but she used to call me up and say, "I ain't doing nothing. Come on over." I would go over there. We'd play cards or game of checkers, or we'd listen to the radio. Her swamp cooler was always too cold during the winter. During the summer. And it was always too cold during the winter. But I loved it. She loved my dogs. Used to bring them over, Sissy and Mia. And just a great, great lady. The only thing that kept her going was doing the show. She was a powerful component for political activism in Tucson. She interviewed every single major candidate that came on the air. And I had great respect for this lady, and I'm really sorry she's not around because I loved her a lot. And just a great, great deal all around. Okay, folks, 629-0683. We were looking at the political trend for Hillary Clinton. After some health challenges, this lady is not going to give up. She's got the Obama people behind her. She feels confident she can win this election. But we got Mr. Christie blocking her path. I don't know a lot about what's going on in New Jersey. That's the East Coast. It's a whole different world. I'm sure they have their own dynamics, their own problems. I know the cost of living is way, way higher over there than it is here. I'll tell you, I don't know if I'd ever want to be a politician. There's just too many issues, too many complicated things going on. How do you keep one single promise? Which is evident they don't keep any of their promises. Who do you trust? Who do we believe? Who's going to get us all out of all this? It's hard to determine. Okay, phones are quiet tonight. I'm not surprised. I haven't been on the air for a couple months. But we are live tonight, folks. So if you want a reading, 629-0863 is the call-in number. 629-0863. Other issues that are facing us. What did we spend so much time in Iraq and Afghanistan for? Why do we have a president that says Al-Qaeda is not a viable force? They are fractured. They are splintered. But yet all the territory that we gained in Afghanistan through our own bloodshed and losing the lives of American soldiers, very young ones, and Al-Qaeda has taken over these major centers again. Makes you really think about it, doesn't it? Personally, I don't think we need to be in Iraq. I don't think we need to be in Iran. I don't think we need to be in Afghanistan, North Korea. This makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, why don't we just take care of our own domestic problems? You know, fix the homeless situation, the uneducated, the people who are starving in our own country. But yet we send tens of billions of dollars, universal aid to everybody. It's a complicated question. Makes you really wonder. Makes you really think. How are we helping ourselves? Well, that is interesting, and what is going to happen is going to happen. Now, personally, I believe, like the Israelis, everybody should serve their country for 2 years, man or woman, just to have the privilege of living here. Now, that's something my father, who was a colonel in the United States Army Air Corps, and my mother, who was the first lieutenant in the Signal Corps, 1942, in World War II, have a strong belief system in. They believed it's great to be an American. It's great to have the privileges of freedom. The women do not have to walk around with stocking caps on their face to hide who they are, to go back to an archaic culture. And no insult to the Muslim religion. I'm sure you have your own traditions. You know, you have your own values. I grew up as a Catholic, but I also had a Jewish father. In Judaism, much more stringent, ancient traditions. But today, no, not so much. When I went to school, we said pledge allegiance to the flag. I doubt if anybody can even repeat the words now. This was to show our unity and our patriotism and the privilege of living in the United States. Also, since I went to a Catholic school, we had to say our morning prayers, the Our Father and Hail Mary, and I did learn how to pray the Rosary and put ourselves into that spiritual space that illuminates all of us. It's not going on now. What do we got going on? I never heard of a school shooting when I was a kid. Sure, when I went to grammar school and high school, I had to worry about the occasional bully that came up, made me want to pay money to cross the parking lot to get to the school, just because he was a bully. But, either do your thing or you're meek and mild. I did my thing. They didn't bother me again. But I didn't want to be a bully either. I tell you, life changes so very rapidly in this country, in this world. My own father and mother served our country in a time when they had the most vicious, saddest, evil man on earth. There were a couple of them. His name was Adolf Hitler. But Joe Stalin was right behind him. Killed millions of people. It's just unbelievable. If we hadn't stood up for ourselves, if we hadn't sacrificed our own people, what kind of a society would we be in? What would happen if the Confederacy had won the Civil War? Say they won the Battle of Gettysburg, marched on to Washington, and made Washington capitulate, would have divided our country straight in half. But one of our wisest presidents, when to point forth a lot of wisdom in his views, was President Abraham Lincoln, who very, very definitively said, "A house divided is a house doomed." And he was right about that. Just really, really interesting. Also, another interesting thing I read in the news recently, growing up as a Catholic and being indoctrinated and all that stuff, the Catholic Church is finally, from what I read on the internet and in the national newspapers, they are beginning to defrock almost 500 priests that defiled the laws of God, that were sexual predators. And instead of moving them from one parish to another, they're defrocking them. That's it. We're stripping your uniform. You got nothing. Everything that was taught to you, way beyond the bounds of reason. Makes you really wonder, doesn't it? Well, we're getting a little close to the end of the program, but I do enjoy expressing my views. I do want to... Oh, we do have a call. Let's see what we got here. Good evening.
Jim, can you hear me?
Got about a minute.
All right, I'll just make a comment real quick to you, Jim. What better of a place for the devil to set up his shop than inside the Catholic Church with the priests? What a better place to hide and bring out his evil and turn people against religion than in the Catholic Church.
Okay.
And the priests that we have.
No, I agree with you. And do you know when it started? The late 1950s, early 1960s, when the gay men started coming out. They didn't know what they do. So what they do, they went to the seminary.
Yep.
So, I hear your disappointment and anger, but it's not always that way. I believe Catholic Church is in a purge. Yeah, thank you for that opinion.
All right, take care, Jim. This is Dennis, by the way. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, bye.
Okay, rerun on Tuesday. See you next time.